They want to be free. 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 Free. They say they want to be free, yet they're not willing to plant any seeds. So how do we expect to be free without being self-sufficiently, governmentless, living independently? They, who's they? They who want change yet still sell their dignity and freedom in exchange for business transactions and political man-made sanctions, preferring an economical, political, and judicial system, welcoming corporatocracy. They're willingly controlled by business corporations, corporate interests. Corporate interests. I call it hypocrisy. Elizabeth Warren once referenced Theodore Roosevelt, warning regarding powerful corporate entities threatening the very foundations of democracy, explaining back bailouts, excessively paying for CEOs, and the exploitations of national treasuries, people, and natural resources. Yes, I'm going to be criticizing globalization, corporatocracy, and a perverted form of aristocracy called oligarchy. Capitalism, bankers controlling the flow of currency. The wave of alchemy, with just a few to rule and command those with nobility, fame, and wealth. Feudalism is capitalism controlled by corporatocracy, owned by the oligarchy, which are the black nobility. I'ma say it again. I'm criticizing globalization, corporatocracy, and a perverted form of aristocracy called oligarchy, capitalism, bankers controlling the flow of currency, the wave of alchemy, with just a few to rule and command those with nobility, fame, and wealth. Because feudalism is capitalism controlled by corporatocracy, owned by the oligarchy, which are the black nobility. So tell me, I want to know, how do we expect to be free if we're not willing to plant any seeds and live self-sufficiently, providing for our own needs. Providing for our own needs.
Viva Puerto Rico! Wepa! Let's go! Welcome. You like that? Shout out to everybody out there. My goodness, what in the Boriken is going on? We got Deaf Poetry. We got my homie, co-owner of the Alliance Network, Breed Talks. We got Cuz, the owner, operator of Canada Healthcare. That's right, Queen V, straight out of Las Vegas. Shout out to that. We got myself and Def. We are live from Boriken, and we got Breed live from PA. Y'all already know what it is. Now we celebrating the Boricua parade. Okay, we kicking it off here, and as many of you, everyone knows how important that is to all of us. Even though we celebrate that every single day. Hello, we got this flag everywhere. We got this in the moon. But we want to say that to everyone that's watching, you don't have to be Boricua to celebrate. This is for everyone. This is very. This is for us to learn and try to figure things out, because there's a lot of things that are going on that we want to celebrate. We want to celebrate what we know, what we've contributed. We've contributed a whole lot out there. You know that. So talk to me. How does it feel, Breed Talks? How does it feel, Deaf Poetry? Talk to me, Miss Queen V. How's everybody feeling? Deaf?
Well, welcome back, everybody. What in the Boriken is going on? I know I'm hiding over here because, you know what I'm saying, I'm blending in right now.
I like the baba. You got the baba going.
We celebrating for the Puerto Rican parade, right? This year's theme, Plantando Bandera, right? So what that's symbolizing is planting our roots.
That's right.
And I'm just happy to be here, y'all. Everybody watching. We back with another exciting week, and we're gonna celebrate today. We just celebrating. We got a lot of good music, poetry, and expressions, and we just gonna be having a good time celebrating, talking a little bit about the history, the culture, having some fun. And here with Breed Talks and Queen V, we got the family in the house. You know what I mean?
Right.
Double trouble. You know what I mean? Like so.
Double trouble.
Yep. So I'm excited. Bree, it's a pleasure to have you back on. We haven't seen you since I believe it was your birthday. Is that correct?
Yeah.
You was on here.
You know,
You know,
atrevida. Oche. When she got
So
the
I
keys to the
appreciate you.
house.
I
Yeah.
appreciate
yeah,
the
yeah.
invite. Absolutely. You know, I love
Mhm.
coming on to the poetry panels, and I love the poetry family. Hear me out,
Hey.
poetry, and the rest of y'all. I love y'all. It's always a good vibe. There's always something going on with the poetry panel. So thank you
Yeah,
for
for
the invite.
real. Absolutely. We're so Puerto
Yes.
Rican. Like we gotta celebrate everything, even when we upset. You know what I mean? You know,
Right.
Queevy. You know what that's like. We going
Oh
on a
yeah.
protest. You know, I was talking about that the other way. Do you remember the plena? Like back in the day, our parents. You know, like I said this the other day. If Elena got cut in her face, we were singing "Cortaron a Elena, cortaron a Elena,
Right.
cortaron
Yep.
a Elena, y la llevaron para el hospital." Yo, if Martin died and you didn't go to the funeral, se murió Martín.
Mm-hmm.
Yo no lo sabía. Se murió Martín. Yo no lo sabía. Lo
Yeah.
vine a saber al otro día. Like, so what? We were the timekeepers. Music and Borinquen kept up with, it was the news. It was the
Yep.
news. Plena is and bomba is news. If a
Mm-hmm.
hurricane's coming through, and the hurricane season, by the way, was kicked off yesterday. Hurricane
Mm.
season.
Yep.
If we knew it
Was
was coming, it was season, temporal, right? September is
Right.
the temporada. Temporal, temporal, ha llegado temporal. ¿Qué será de mi Borinquen? Ya ha llegado
Mm-hmm.
temporal. So all that about our culture. Say it loud, Chi. Say it loud. So
Feeling it. Chi-Chi's feeling
he's
it.
Right.
feeling it. He was like, absolutely, puñeta. Shout out to that. But okay, let's go. We're gonna kick it off, yeah. We're gonna kick it off. Def, we ready? We gonna do
yes,
the parade?
yes.
Which
Real quick before we kick it off,
all right.
I'd like to mention something else. You know, we are celebrating years and years of culture. So the Boricua parade, the Puerto Rican parade, right, which originated in, the first parade was in New York. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
know, so we taking it back, and we celebrating now. We still, the fact that, we still here, we still celebrating. It means a lot. It's very important. It's very
Mm-hmm.
important, and we get to celebrate and share. I think on one of the episodes of What in the Borinquen, actually, we went a little bit into the history of the Puerto Rican parade, right?
Parade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, we made it. We celebrating today, and it's a testament of, the resilience in our culture and the resilience in our people, right? So for
Mm-hmm.
us, like we're just saying, we come together. We come together. We sing, whether it's good or bad, and we're happy that everyone here, everyone viewing, you guys are celebrating with us,
That's right.
and we gonna kick this off. We definitely gonna kick this off. So stay tuned and stay
AC.
seated.
Let's
Yes,
go.
sir.
Que viva Puerto Rico. Wepa. I love it. I love it. And that's what I do. I'm telling you, I love it. And this flag right here, what I like about it is the blue. There's a
Yes.
dark blue and then there's a light blue. The light blue, we're gonna talk about it later.
We're
Talk
gonna
about it.
get into it.
Boricua's Creed. Boricua's Creed.
Let's go.
Los colores de mi tierra son los colores donde la brisa se mezcla, tierra de Borín, con el sonido del mar, donde nací, hacer la danza que mueve nuestro es un jardín florido, ya vengo yo, de mágico primo, ya vengo yo, un cielo siempre nítido, le sirve de doce, y dan arrullos plácidos, las olas a sus pies, cuando a sus playas llegó colores, clamor lleno de admiración. Oh, 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 soy como el morri, vengo yo, ya vengo yo, cual linda flor de los campos que embellece mi país, ya vengo yo, y si me ves por ahí, yo te brindaré mi encanto, ya vengo yo, y si me ves por ahí, yo te brindaré mi encanto, soy como el moribiri que muere y nace de nuevo, típico como el coquí, como la yuca, la caña y el maní,
Soy jibarito con mi machete amolao, de decir a su caballo montado. Somos boricuas representando en todos lados. Llegaste a la cena, arroz con bacalao. Los colores de mi tierra,
Los colores de mi
son los
tierra
colores.
son los colores.
The colors of my island, the colors of my flag, the colors of my land.
My land,
Coconut brown,
brown,
blue green water,
cookie, cookie,
turquoise waves,
wave,
spiritual coquille,
cookie, cookie.
green plantains with the yuca, green shades.
Qué bonita
Tight bomba
bandera.
plena reminds us we are all blessed, we are all
Qué
free.
bonita
I
bandera.
hold my head up high, the colors of my land are deep within me.
Qué bonita
Land of happy
bandera. La bandera
people who are prosperous.
puertorriqueña.
Plantando bandera, my roots are very strong, no one can uproot them. I know who I am and where I come from. That's why I'm back in the land. The warrior red, the white for peace, the blue for our skies, the star representing the island. Don't forget the blue is for our ocean too. Los colores de mi tierra son los colores. Con mi frente en alto, voy cantando con la bandera en la mano. Dios, patria y libertad. Es rojo, guerrero, azul por el mar y el cielo. La estrella representa Boriken y el blanco representa la victoria y la paz. De donde soy y donde vengo, mis raíces son muy fuertes y tierra de gente alegre, raíces que no se puede arrancar. La isla donde gente ama de verdad. De ahí vengo yo, de ahí vengo yo.
Ya vengo yo, ya vengo yo. Preciosa te llevo dentro, muy dentro de mi corazón. I'm Dr. Poetry, with Deaf Poetry. Del mar y el sol, del mar y el sol.
Shout out to that. Let's go. Yo,
¡Viva
that was
Puerto
tight.
Rico!
That was
Oh,
nice.
you like that?
Yeah, that was nice.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, one of the things that I love is serving this island. I serve this island. I've been serving this island for 18 years. Well, that's not true, for 20, because I worked in the mayor's office in San Juan, Casa Alcaldía de San Juan under Jorge Santini's administration. But as 18 years as a state police officer for the island of Puerto Rico. So yes, I'm going to celebrate. Absolutely. Yes, I'm going to sing. I'm going to talk about this. If I'm in every other body's culture celebrating with them, and why wouldn't I even acknowledge where I'm from and where my parents are from? Right? So
Exactly.
I want to ask you guys, first I'm going to start with you, Def. Well, no, we have guests. We have guests. Tenemos ¿cómo es? Tenemos visita. Tenemos visita. We're going to go with Bree. Bree, I know you're from New York. I know you're from Brooklyn's in the house. What was it like for you? How was the spirit for the Puerto Rican Day Parade? Were you like one of us that kind of like me? I was always performing in the parade, but if I wasn't, I would. It was a big deal. I got the rolos, I got the clothes. I met up with my friends. It all started like Wednesday, then Thursday, Seaport, Friday. Oh my God, we hanging out in parties. We're looking for the flyer. Remember the flyers? And then Saturday we at the 116 Fest, and then Sunday the big day. It's like fucking a big deal, So how was that for you?
You know what? The one that I remember the most was when Menudo was on the parade.
Oh, damn.
They were in the parade. Yeah, girl. When Menudo was in the parade, that's the one I remember because I was so in love with Javier. I just
Javier.
Yes.
And Johnny.
And Johnny. That was what you like, Queen. You like
that was my favorite one. But it was, in my family, we were always very prideful about our heritage. We were never shunned about it. We were never told that we couldn't discuss it. My grandfather and grandmother being born on the island. My dad was born on the island, but he moved here as a baby. Okay. But my grandparents, they kept that tradition alive, whether it was, the food, whether it was the music, whether it was, a little bit of the rituals that go into our culture. They kept that alive for us. And they instilled, at least in me, the pride that comes with being Puerto Rican. And from my grandfather is where I learned what Boricua was. I had no clue what that was. Until, they started saying that word, and I'm like, what is that? And I remember him just saying this one little line, and it was um, in Spanish and English, and translate that he said, this is not your land. This is not your land.
Esto no es tu
And
tierra.
no, yeah, exactly. And I couldn't understand what he meant by that. And he was from humble beginnings.
Right.
He was a bookbinder. He
Oh,
was from
wow.
humble beginnings. Yeah, he was a bookbinder. And my grandmother was a stay-at-home,
Right.
wife. But very, very, she was the matriarch of the family. And so being Puerto Rican and having that feel, at least for me,
Yeah.
it just always was. Like I knew nothing else. It just always was like that. Any celebration, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, there
Mm-hmm.
was food. And my
Right.
grandmother used to always say, I don't have any money, but the one thing I can do is give you food.
That's right.
So,
I know that's right.
you know,
I like that. Those are good memories, man.
Mhm.
What about you, Queen? Y'all
So
cousins, so I know y'all probably
yeah,
similar
we
stories.
cousins. So we have similar stories, but it's a different view, right? So she has her view, I have my view. So for me, when the Puerto Rican parade came around, that was grandma's time to make money. Okay,
hmm
she
Mm-hmm.
was making pateles, she was making the acapurria, the relleno de papa.
Right.
So she was getting down, she was making her some money. It was about culture, but it was also about how I'm gonna get this bag,
right.
and that's how she fed the family because she fed all of us in the
Right.
family.
Oh,
And for me, I always have a running joke. I tell everybody, I'm like, I didn't know I was black until I was 16 years old. Like, I didn't know the black part of me because it was so rooted in me that I'm Puerto Rican.
right.
I've
Right.
always, well, I was born and raised. I was always told the food, the culture, everything. I'm Puerto Rican. And then, you get to a certain age and it's like, right around 12 or 13, people started calling me, morena or negrita. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what's all of that about? Not that I don't see my color, but for me, I'm like, Puerto Ricans come in all colors. So
Right.
I didn't accept that portion of myself until like right around the time like I was 16 years old. I was like, okay, I have Afro Latina in me. I have, this African side of me that's more, protruded than other people have. My cousin, she's more on the lighter Caucasian side, the more Spanish, the España side, where I'm more African.
Right.
Nope, she doesn't. Is it
That's
me or
that's
did she?
interesting. Yeah, no, that's she'll be back. But that's interesting, Bree, that she says that because that's how most families are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boricua families. Like if you sit at the table, you'll see that we all come. We're like the Baskin Robbins. We come
Mm-hmm.
in all different flavors. Seriously. All jokes aside, she'll come up. I'll bring her up when she's
Yeah.
ready. We're gonna, when I hear that, I really, really understand that so well. Um, because a lot of us don't even realize that when most people when they say, "What are you?" we say, "No, he was black or he was white." No, I think he was
Right.
Puerto Rican. That type of thing. I think he was Puerto Rican, but it's not. There we go. We got you back. I was just
Oh.
commenting what you were saying. I wanted to say that's interesting that you pointed that out because
Mm-hmm.
at the table, well, every Boricua family sits at the table. They're constantly there's always a brother or sister. We don't all look the same, and we got the same
Mm-hmm.
father. We just don't. We all come in different hues, and I think
Yep.
that goes
Mm-hmm.
for every human. We all come in different hues. The difference is that Puerto Rican families, Boricua families, be looking like mommy got a father for different. You know what I mean? It looks
Right.
like that. It looks like that,
Exactly.
but we got the same dad. Like if you look at my sister, she looks very Taína indigenous PFR. Then you look at
Mhm.
my other sister, she looks like Queen V. And then you look at my other sister, she's Brie. And then you got me that I'm a little bit of all. I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, where are you? I'm Blanquita, I'm Trianita. This, this is why I
Yep.
love it. I love it. I think that's why we should celebrate this beautiful bouquet of hues, right?
Exactly.
But I want
Exactly.
I want you to finish saying what you were saying. You were telling us about grandma and stuff like that. You were talking and you got cut off a little bit. Queen.
So brain fog. So I was talking about how she was making money. She made, you know, she took,
money.
she took advantage of her ability to cook. And I'm telling you, people will come from all over the city just to buy food from grandma. And of course, we had to work the kitchen.
Right.
Because we weren't getting away with just going outside and playing. We had to sit there and, you know,
Well,
fold the
yeah.
paper,
Right.
guayarlo guineo. We had to, you know, tie the knots on the patela. We had to do all of that stuff. So, you know, it was a good lesson for us to learn because I know how to do it. But it was also a good insight to the culture, and not only that, but how our people are so resilient that we know
Yeah.
how to make money. We know how to, you know, get through life with our skills and our abilities and our culture.
Yep, and resources. That's
Yep.
so dope. That's so
Yep.
And
dope
we
that you mentioned
practiced
that
the
because
bartering
around.
system too a lot. I remember her practicing the bartering system where she would go to her friend Fela's house and, oh, dame esto and I'll give you this. And, you know, I'm going to make this and you make that. And so it was, that was like a whole community.
Yep.
You know, even though we lived in the projects and we lived in, you know, Brooklyn, all the community itself, like the Puerto Rican community, even with the, you know, the Black community, it always seemed like one. Like I never felt like there was a different set of
Right.
rules.
Right.
There
And if
were,
you look at
there
my
were.
family, yeah, and if you look at my family, we do come from different, like, different colors. You know, I have another cousin that's really trigueño, that,
Hmm.
you know, he's really dark. And then I have another cousin who's got blonde hair. You know what I mean?
My
But we're
grandson
all
has blonde
blended
hair.
with it.
My
Yeah.
grandson has blonde hair.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Like it's funny
Yeah.
because my husband was just mentioning you talk about the rules and stuff. My husband, because él es negrito, he's black, and he was like, yeah, you know, you nobody, everybody knew not to sit on this side of the building where the bench was because that was for the Puerto Ricans. And I never thought about it that way because
yeah.
we always just
For the
sat there.
viejitos.
And for
Yeah.
all you know, that's what grandma sat with all the ladies. Everybody just gathered around them. You know, we that was our spot. And he was like, everybody knew not to sit over there. That was your spot. That was for the Puerto Ricans. He was just mentioning that to me the other day.
That's
So
dope. That's
yeah,
dope.
Wow.
yep.
I didn't
That's
even
dope.
think about that.
That's you
It's
know,
respect. It's
etiquette. That's
respect.
etiquette and respect. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you see that, and you know, why take them away from that and take away that from them?
Yep.
You know, that's really dope, and especially around, you know, people not taking advantage of the time too. Because yes, we celebrating, but if you go to the bodegas around this time of the year to get a flag, it's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost you $20-$40 to might maybe get a little flag that probably costs $5. You
Right.
know, regularly. So I mean, I got bro a child, and that's a cool story with your grandmother and your
That's
family,
so. That's
and y'all
beautiful.
being a part of that and
Mm-hmm.
learning the values, different values, not only just cooking, but different values, and taking that with y'all and passing it on to your generations too, to your kids, you
Yeah.
know, and grandkids too, and the tradition and the lessons and the examples to be resilient and to find ways, you know, to make things happen for yourself. So that's really dope. That's dope.
I love that. I love that. We're gonna keep talking about all this stuff, y'all. Dev, what about you in Camden, out there in
Um,
Jersey?
well, you know, I'm gonna tell you, the Puerto Rican Day parades was the best as I can remember when I was younger. Period. Like they was just the best. I remember
Yeah.
just being a part of the parades too. You know, I used to be a little salsero. I don't got the moves no more, but I dance. I got a bad knee now. I got arthritis.
Oh,
So,
come on, stop. Viejito, you're not
so
even viejito.
I can't even do it anymore. I tried, but
I'm there with you. I'm right there with you.
but yeah, just I think just having fun in the youth, also growing up, I think that was my best memories and the best times. I do remember getting a little bit older and going and experiencing the parades. And I remember telling myself it just wasn't the same.
Mm.
Um, as times change, I haven't been to one in the recent years, but you know, compared to my youth, and then a little bit years later, it wasn't the same. I know I can enjoy it now. You know, I can enjoy it now if I was to go to a parade, but at the same time, um, I think it's a parade for me every day. Just, you know, especially being back the island, and just with the people and the culture. But I do love the unity and everybody coming together, especially around this time of the year. It's not just Boricuas that come together; it's different nationalities, and you see
Absolutely.
all people come together because of the respect for the culture. So that right there, I love and I appreciate. And
Absolutely.
yeah, that's it right there.
One of the things that I really want to get to, and after this video that we're going to present, I love that because we're going to get to. Okay, he mentioned that he feels like he's celebrating every day because we're on the island. But there's
Right,
a truth.
right,
We are not Boricua sometimes when we're on the island because we're
right. Oh, that's
Yankees.
true. That's
We
true.
the New Yorkers. We're the
That's
from over there. Ellos son de afuera.
como gringo.
So
Yeah,
I'm not gonna sugarcoat nothing. The bakery's down the block. The reality is that that's the truth. Now we're here to celebrate, of course.
right,
But it
right.
wasn't easy for me when I came from the Bronx and I came out here. When I came from New York, and I mean, I'm a woman of a certain age. My accent's not going nowhere. I still talk like this. And one of the things that I realized is that we celebrate in New York. We are the most patriotic Ricans I've ever seen in the United States, especially New York City.
Well,
What I
there's history behind that. You know that.
Right. This is why we have shows like What in the Borinquen. We've covered that. So when we come on the island, there's a lot of turmoil, political turmoil, because of the difference in political parties, right?
Right.
And so if you're coming from New York, it comes from so many different issues, and a lot of them also come inherited, ways of being, because of grandma, because of great great grandmother. And sometimes as you get older, you start reading those books that they didn't show you in school. Remember, in elementary, they didn't teach us in the Board of Education of Rockefeller. I mean, the Board of Education. You know what I mean? They didn't teach us about our culture.
Right.
So when you go into college, you get to pick these, you don't have to, but I know that's when I started researching the Tainos, the Arawaks, and who we were. And I started doing, because they only give you the whole Columbus story. So
Right.
when I was marching in those parades as a little girl and being in the Puerto Rican pageants in New York City as a kid, I was a baton twirler, marching band. My mom had me, I was eating Puerto Rican studies since I was a child, but there was still some stuff I didn't know. So you guys are going to don't go nowhere, anyone out there, because after this video, we're going to get into a couple of things. And if you guys know, we've been presenting a lot of information regarding the history, the real history, right? Because, we're not talking about the books in the Board of Education. We're talking about the stuff, the erudition. When you start being erudited and you start doing that research, you start getting upset, and then we get passionate, Bree.
You already know, Izzy, this is our third year already. Izzy, you and I celebrating the Puerto Rican parade.
That's right.
You already know, people that follow us, people that are supporters of Isabella and I and Doc Poetry. You already know, we don't hold back. We say what has
we
to
get
be
into
said,
it.
and we get into it, the thick of things, whether you like it or not.
Right. And I love it. Def, are we ready for that? Are we ready to start dancing for the Boricua parade? I hear the cookies. Def got the cookies going in the back. I love that. We celebrating, y'all. Let's go. I'm ready. Que bonita bandera. Que bonita bandera. You ready? I'm waiting.
Okay, vamos para encima.
Exactly.
Taína, africana, española, somos moras, forevermore. ¿Qué será de mi Borinquen? On Fifth Avenue in New York City, 12 noon in the month of June. On the streets of New York, it transforms into Boriken. Everyone's Boricua, and we all proudly parade. Taína, Africana, Española, Mora, Boricua. Our heritage is displayed, dancing and singing with our ancestors. Grace, elegance, I'm craving more congas and bongos. I wanna shake.
¿Qué será de mi Borinquen?
The Atlantic Ocean where the sand and the skies blend. The food is so delicious. The flavorful aromas. Boricuas are brave souls on the island of Boriken. And it runs deep. These roots run deep. We are Moors. Have you ever had some arroz moro? Have you ever walked through the morro? Amor, hay que vivir con alegría. Y la moraleja detrás de la bandera borinqueña.
Típico como el coqui, como la yuca, la
Es que-
caña y el maíz.
You see, the blood is mixed. Whatever that means. But we know that there's beauty in this beautiful, beautiful mixture. It's what makes us great. It's the real reason why we wave our
¿Qué
flags with
será de
pride.
mi Borinquen?
You know, we were
¿Qué
denied
será de mi Borinquen?
the ability to wave that flag. It was illegal at one point. So we wave it every time we want to. So we're celebrating this bouquet of hues. This beautiful bouquet of hues. We're urban country islands. Que viva Vieques, que viva Culebra. Las playas, pero qué linda, 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 qué bella. 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 Típico como el coqui, como la yuca, la caña y el mavi. Típico como el coqui, como la yuca, la caña y el mavi. You know, we summon our ancestors every other day, probably.
¿Y tu abuela dónde está?
But this is what makes a flavorful crowd.
Where's your grandmother at?
And I just remember listening to the whispers of my ancestors. Escucho una voz que me dice, somos tus ancestros, bisabuelas de las bisabuelas, pues yo soy taína, yo soy africana, yo soy española, soy una mora, boricua, pero qué bonita, bonita bandera, de mi isla bonita, pero qué linda, la estrella del Caribe, pero qué linda, 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 qué bella, pero qué linda, 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 qué bella. The white sandy beaches of flamenco, de ahí vengo yo, de ahí vengo yo. Pero qué linda, 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 qué bella.
¿Qué será de mi Borinquen?
Típico como el coqui, como la yuca, la caña y el mavi. Típico como
será
el
de
coqui,
mi Borinquen?
como la yuca, la caña y el mavi.
¿Qué será de mi Borinquen?
Somos boricuas, para que tú lo sepas. And I'm Dr. Poetry.
Será de mi Borinquen.
Típico como el coqui, como la yuca, la caña y el mavi. I love that joint. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's
that
go.
was definitely very
We should
patriotic.
all be on a float together, yo.
Right? All of us. The
Yeah.
Alliance
Let's
Network,
go.
Giving Out Poetry, you know, Queen V coming
We
straight
got
out of
some
Las
stuff
Vegas.
we cooking off for next
Poetry.
And
year.
I'll break dance on it.
I got some stuff
the
we
bad
cooking
knee?
off for next year.
I love it. 'Cause you didn't see my face. I was like, how you gonna do that with your bad knee? Funny.
I just seen y'all paying attention. That's all. That's all.
We awake. We awake.
Yeah, all right.
That's great, Bree. Bree, I heard you. That sounds like a good idea to me, Bree. I like that. We gotta get
So
ready.
I recently got in contact with the founders of the Puerto Rican Festival in New York.
In New York.
hmm So I wanted to bring it up. We'll have to talk about it, but I say, why not have an A&N float in the Puerto Rican Festival?
Absolutely. It's about time.
So
It's
we'll have to
about to go down. I
we'll
love it.
discuss it more, but like I said, I just got in touch with him, and he runs that. And definitely we talked about it. Obviously, it's too soon now to do it,
Right.
but I figure why not shoot for next year?
Of
Stay
course.
tuned next year, y'all. Stay
That's
tuned next
right.
year because we
Proper
will be.
preparation prevents poor
Yeah,
performance. I
Yeah.
love it. We
yeah.
doing
So
it. We're doing it. I like
we're
that.
doing it and doing it and doing it well.
You know, listen, let me ask you, Def, we're going to get into your video. Before we get into that video, I want to ask the ladies one question. Out of all three, well, it's really four colors, right? One, two, three. No, it's three colors. Oh my God. Okay. Three colors of the flag, the Boricua flag, right?
Mhm.
Do you know what the red stands for?
The blood.
The blood of the people. Yeah,
Right.
that's actually my favorite color. You already know.
Oh, she's
Leg
wearing it.
it, leg it. It's always been my color.
What does the white stand for?
Ooh,
Peace.
peace.
The peace.
For
Yeah,
peace. Okay.
The
I know
peace.
the white star stands for the island.
The
yeah,
island.
Yeah.
And the blue
There's the sky and
coastal
the sea. Yeah.
waters.
yeah.
Right. What I
As
love
above,
about
so below.
right. What I love about that, Def, what I love about that Queen V, Ambry, all of y'all, that it's a flag.
Mhm,
The United States, I love, USA,
mhm,
pero it's a banner.
mhm.
And a banner symbolizes it's a corporation.
Facts.
So the United States corporation, shout out to 4th of July and everybody that believes in that. It is a banner. That
Absolutely.
banner that they have, you know, represents a corporation. So when we say Puerto Rico, it is a subcorporation of the
United
bigger
States.
corporation.
Mhm,
Yep.
They changed our name from Borinquen,
Thank you.
right, to Puerto Rico because they needed it to build a business, right? We have to have a corporation
mhm,
because that's why it's called Rich Port. It's all about commerce.
mhm. That's
So
why we're a Commonwealth.
Commonwealth. And then I'm saying this because every time we say Puerto Rico, even though out of force of habit, I live here, my uniform says, the Policía de Puerto Rico. I know deep down inside, this is the type of reading and research that I tell a lot of my viewers. Shout out to Alliance Network. Shout out to all the people that helped me understand these things because I didn't know that. I
Mhm,
knew something wasn't right though. You know what I'm saying? I knew something wasn't right because I didn't understand why didn't we just keep it Borinque. That was always my question. Why we changed it though? Why we changed it? Right? I was a kid. I was like, well, why we say Borinquen?
mhm,
Borinquen. Like everything's always Borinquen. But I never understood why Puerto Rico. Oh, because they found rich port, but it didn't make sense to me. Why are we celebrating that? Because I'm not a rich port. She's Puerto Rican. I'm a rich port. I'm a rich port. No,
mhm,
because Boricua comes from Borinquen.
mhm,
Boricua means brave lord. Borinquen is home of the brave lords. But
mhm.
Puerto Rico is a rich port.
Right. Well,
So I'm not that. You know what I mean? So it's all about
That's
maritime
why.
law. It's about maritime law and commerce and all that stuff.
That's why
so
I
close.
say. That's why I
Facts.
say. That's why I say Puerto Rican because you always could Puerto Rican anywhere. Yeah?
You
And we be all right. And we be all right.
Puerto Rican. You already
for
know
the
That's why.
that.
record.
I like
That's
that.
why we
Dab,
say
I
put.
like that, Dab. Shout out to
You
you.
always Puerto Rican anywhere, and he be good.
Right. Right.
Well, I hear you.
I mean, when it
Well,
comes to the name, though, I mean, let's be honest, right? How do you strip the people from their land by changing its name?
right.
How do you take their power away by
You erase the
changing the
history.
name?
You erase the
Because
history.
it keeps you from your birthright to the land. It
Right,
ties your
because the
blood.
land.
Even if mommy was born, I wasn't there, but the blood that runs through my veins is that blood that was from there. So I
Absolutely.
belong there. It's all about nationality,
Right.
you know,
It's the
and
order of the day.
and I
Yeah,
love her because she knows my poetry. She
you
said
erase the
nationality
history.
order today.
You
Right.
erase the history, and you minimize the education, the books. And and you keep the people. You give the people new information, and that's how you
A
keep
new
Abs-
it
identity.
and a
You
mhm.
new
give them a
identity.
new identity. You suppress their natural way of living, their natural way of being, who they are as a people, and you rebrand them, you reteach them a history that is not theirs.
Right.
And so, therefore, you start to control them eventually through the masses.
Yeah.
But I think that's why Puerto Ricans nowadays, or Boricuas nowadays, are so prideful because it didn't come to us easily. Like
Right.
our flag was, it was illegal for us in 1948, the gag law, to
Mm-hmm.
to wave our flag, to sing any type of patriotic song of our land. It
That's
was
right.
illegal. You would either get put in jail or you would get killed. It's that simple. In
You couldn't
1948.
even get you couldn't even sing patriotic songs. What I
No,
why do you think I
no.
did that melody?
Los
That I
colores
sang
de
all
mi
those
tierra
coming
son
soon.
los colores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
All
you
that
know the
music.
That's
history,
why bomba and plena was so important for our culture,
yep.
because we were able to do things without, the colonizers or the controllers, whatever you want to call it, right? Without them knowing what exactly is it that we're doing.
Right.
Whether it was our rituals, whether it was, talking to each other, trying to form some type of unity, because
Mm-hmm.
that's not what they were preaching. Unity was not it. At one
People
point,
don't know, but
Puerto
people don't
Rico.
know that Puerto Rico is the most sought after piece of property in the entire world. It is the
Say that
only
again for the
thing,
people in the back.
it's the most sought after piece of property in the entire world. There were so many battles and wars that were fought just for this small little island, and only because it's the only piece of land that sticks out in the
Hmm.
middle of the ocean that ties the west to the east.
Yep.
You got to pass Puerto Rico to get to the U.S. You got to pass by that to go anywhere else in Europe or anywhere else in the
Hmm.
world.
Jones Act.
Hmm.
Yep.
That's why the Jones Act is very important. That's why right now they're reevaluating, re-examining, trying because at the end of the day, they
It's
say they're trying to
problematic.
help Puerto Rico, but the reality is they're helping themselves because
Yes.
they see how
Absolutely.
it's affecting them. The commerce, the maritime law, all that stuff, all that jazz. Absolutely, she's right. It's strategically
Placed.
it's
Defensively. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Shout out to that. That's very true. All right, we ready
Absolutely.
for Borinquen? We ready for Jersey and Borinquen?
Let's
Let's
Yes.
go.
go.
All
Let's
right.
go, y'all. My knee. Hold on. All right, let's
Uh,
go.
Between Jersey and Boriken, in the heart of Camden, the streets is always moving with a rhythm. You hear that? You hear that? Old brick walls echo tales, a city's pulse within them. Steel and stone, like my ancestors' bones, hold the weight of history, of struggles and unknowns. The Delaware River whispers its waters deep and cold, reflecting dreams both new and old, where families fight to rise above, yet the scent of hope is thick with love. From Broadway's lights to the pier's dark shades, the struggle of survival, every penny made brick by brick. We build, we fall, we rise. Through every broken window, we dream with our eyes. And in the air, there's an echo of a song. From the island of Boriken, where we belong, we carry the weight of both worlds. Fierce and strong from La Isla del Encanto, where our roots grow long. My culture's pride is deep like the Coquis call. We dance to the bomba, against the odds we stand tall. The flavors of adobo, sofrito hit in the pan, taste like freedom, taste like home. Out here the streets pulse with the heart of our kin, where Puerto Rican flags wave and the fight won't end. Like the sound of pleneros or the beat of the caja, our souls are a mixture of struggle and triumph. Here we speak Spanglish, and our voices are loud, a blend of two worlds. Still unified in the crowd, we know what it takes. It's survival and thriving with each step we make. But in these streets, where pain meets joy, we hold the legacy from girl to boy, the culture, the love, the pride that we bring is the fire that burns in the song we sing. This is Deaf Poetry.
Eso. Let's go.
Epa!
Shout out to that.
That's a
I
that's
know
Yes.
y'all. I know y'all saw me playing the cuatro over there in the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My grandfather was in a band. We used to do the guayera and what else was Veronica? The cowbell.
He did the bongos. He did the
bongos.
drums.
Yeah.
I like that.
We used to play all the instruments. He taught us how to play the instruments when we were younger.
Aww.
That's something I'm working on too. I would love to learn how to play all the instruments too.
My favorite is the maracas.
Oh yeah, we had those too. The maracas.
You know what I thought? I wanted to play like a game one time and put all the instruments, the Puerto Rican instruments. And as you know, each instrument comes from either from Africa, from the Taínos, or from Spain, right? And I kind of wanted to do like a study to see which instrument people gravitate to most. I gravitate a lot to, I love congas and I love maracas. And I like violins.
I like the drums. I like the bass, like the drum.
I like the tambourine.
The tambourine. So you take it to church. She'd be like, "Hey, let's go." I'm not making
It's crazy though, because like when I hear music, and it's any kind of music, right? But if I hear like drums, any type of bass drums, it instantly just puts like this fire in my belly. Like my body just wants to move. I never heard the song before, but my body wants to move.
That's intact. I'm the same way with congas. Anything that's percussion. Percussion. I'm drawn to percussion. I don't play no drums, but I be, you know what I mean? I be like, oh, tengo la fragancia por dentro. And if you hear my poetry, you hear those things coming in like boom, 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 boom. It's like I don't know.
Even in the car, you're on the steering wheel like this.
Yeah. You swear you're doing something, right?
You're doing something right there.
No, and
then your hips start moving, you didn't even know they move like that.
And what I noticed, Puerto Rican men always either whistling or they look. He left. You see, that's what happens. But you know what? They always either that or like, or always singing. If you say, "Mira, saca la basura," so I sacando la basura.
Everything's a song.
Yep.
Sacando la basura, and I'm like, why? Everything say no sé. I don't know where that went, but we waiting for him to come up. It's that way of doing things. But you know what, y'all? I'm gonna get into another poem.
Let's go.
Because this is music. This is what we're doing. We talked about Boriken. We talked about a lot of the. Hold on. Let me see. We talked a lot about the. Hold on one second. Are we good? Yeah, there we go. We talked about. I was just about to play a video, and we're gonna play a video that gives us my insight. Boriken is not for sale.
Yes.
That's what this is called. Boriken is not for sale.
Here we go, y'all.
Us.
Dar con paciencia una esclavitud denigrante. Estamos aburridos de la presencia de un despotismo y de todos sus símbolos. Nos da asco la presencia de hombres y mujeres que pretendan asumir autoridad en nuestra patria sin recibir el nombramiento de Puerto Rico. Estamos cansados de todo eso. Y estamos en la resolución de desafiar definitivamente toda esa tiranía. Aquí tenemos toda esta niñez llena de gloria, toda esta juventud llena de valor, todas estas damas llenas de belleza y que llevan en sus entrañas toda la grandeza de nuestra patria. Aquí venimos nosotros con la generosidad en los actos sublimes de heroísmo y de sacrificio que han de consagrar la independencia de Puerto Rico.
The wicked and the rich get richer, but who's poor? Wicked man's perspective in life is that's his playground and there's no room for us. Strategically infiltrate banks, infrastructures, news forums, indoctrinating tactics is not fruitful for the youth's food source. Don't be fooled by the quote-unquote great man. That colonized the Tainos in this great land, their escape land, and ironically enough, today, their wasteland.
You know, Puerto Rico, it may be for sale, but Boriken is not. It's not. We are more than a rich port, because that's just commerce. We are more as aboriginals of this island. We Boricuas were here first, before the business transactions, the math behind all the unlawful infractions. We are Boricuas. We are more than victims of United States colonialism, rentier capitalism wreaking havoc on our island. The corrupted native officials provoking a wave of hatred against their own people. Land over finance. Because Boricua stems from Boriken, the name given to the island by the indigenous Tainos. They inhabited the island long before the arrival of the Spanish in 1493. And that was long before when we were free. Initially, Columbus called the island San Juan Bautista, then changed it to Puerto Rico, or Rich Port. When the Spaniards realized the impressive amounts of gold found in its rivers, oh man, how they chopped off my ancestors' hands if they returned with no gold. And that shit fills me up with rage, shivers and rage. The more we respond to the name Puerto Rico, we are still in a mental cage. We are still enslaved. We are Boricuas, pa' que tú lo sepa. It's more than just a cultural shout out to the culture. It's a reminder to those who still call us rich ports, to the business side hustlers, to the United States vultures. We are more than just rich ports. We are brave lords, Boricuas. If they cannot understand, they cannot comprehend, we are from the home of the brave lords. The island is called Boriken. Puerto Rico may be for sale, but Boriken stands on the universal principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and we will prevail. And I know that I may be just a bit too bold because of my position, but there's no difference. Because look at how Dr. Pedro Albizu Campos, who truly died for the freedom and the mission. So light a candle for the souls who fought. The name Puerto Rico was given to Boriken to release us from our birthrights to the land as an incorporated territory, truly another LLC for the United States commerce interest in an island so strategically located in the Atlantic Sea. So ask yourself why the IRS moved to Boriken. Why did the IRS move to Boriken? That's a good question. But why? Why did the IRS move to Puerto Rico, conducting internal revenue services, a private company imposing floating in Federal Reserve notes that conduct business, and the Jones Act increasing taxes, maritime law, corruption like you've never seen before. We are Boricuas and we are not for sale. A rich port business under the name Puerto Rico will not change the truth that we are Boriken and we are here to stay regardless of how many times you change our name. Honor our freedom. Honor our knowledge. We are Moors, Aboriginals, brave lords of the island of Boriken, and we are not giving in on your business propaganda and propositions. We are Boricuas, and Boriken is our home. It is not your story to tell with false statements and fraudulent tales. Boricuas will defend Boriken, and Boriken is not for sale. Not for sale. I'm Dr. Poetry with Deaf Poetry. Boriken is not for sale.
Me cantas por la noche tu linda canción.
Visitors,
tus notas me recuerdan un beso de amor.
Visiting the island of Boriken. Honor the spiritual significance and cultural reverence for the coqui. The coqui is a sacred symbol of my island's heritage. The soundtrack of Boriken. The heartbeat of the island. The coqui is sacred. You have been warned. El coquí, símbolo de la vida. Su canto, llamada ancestral. En la noche oscura, vive en la naturaleza.
El alma se pasa y no quiere
El
viajar.
yunque
Si sales de casa ya no puedo
en la tierra que
cantar.
perdura. El símbolo de la esencia de Boriken. New Yorican. ¿Se recuerdan de la santidad de nuestra tierra y el espíritu? Su canto, un llamado a la reverencia eterna. Y mi abuela, ¿dónde está? Enterrada en Naguabo y en Mayagüez. Por lo tanto, soy boricua por herencia y la sangre que fluye por mis venas.
Las penas.
Y protejo mi gente. Y
Mi
todo de
gente.
aquí, por eso que hoy defiendo el coquí.
Coqui.
Su presencia
Coquí.
sagrada, el espíritu de
El
mis
coquí.
raíces. Ancestros
Coquí.
que nunca
Ancestral.
debe ser violada.
Ancestral.
Yucacayeque,
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 Coquí,
Maricayá,
Coquí,
Maricayá, Marica.
Coquí, Guaqui. El coquí no es solo un sapito, sino un espíritu sagrado portador de la memoria ancestral y la protección divina. No permitamos que la ignorancia o la codicia
Ancestral.
lo destruya.
Ancestral.
Su vida es un acto de
Ancestral.
reverencia, un símbolo de
Coquí.
nuestra alma. Es el latido de nuestro
Coquí.
isla. Boriken, no dejen que los visitantes destruyen la canción de los ancestros taínos. Tourists of Boriken, you have been warned through the sacred poetry. Respect the Coquí, the Borinken's heartbeat and soundtrack. Sing freely. Its life is sacred. It's a gift. Honor the land. Honor our ancestry. Preserve the Coquí and its shrine.
Respect the culture.
Respect the sacred Coquí. El Coquí vive en la memoria y el destino.
Don't come to my land thinking you're gonna spray my coquilles.
Yucacayeque, Yucacayeque, Keke, Yucacayeque.
Don't come over here talking that they a nuisance.
It is the soundtrack of this island.
This is the ancestral DNA really literally going through the veins of each coquille in this island.
El Coquí vive.
It's Dr. Poetry and Deaf Poetry.
Shout out to that.
Yeah.
All right, yo, so
You have been
know,
warned.
Yo, so we just got done playing. Y'all that don't know, everybody watching, we played Boriken is Not For Sale. And that last one right there was You Have Been Warned, right? So Boriken is Not For Sale. I know that was that touched on really what we was talking about right before we played it, right? With basically not giving up, honoring our land, honoring, not selling ourselves short. And we're based off the visuals and everything y'all saw on that video. I'm gonna start with you, Bree. Like, what did you think? What did you get from that video? The Boriken is Not For Sale, and what did you take from that?
It just solidifies the strength of our people. It solidifies the fact that we've constantly had to fight for our land, to survive on our land. In which we came from, and so many people through the millenniums have tried to conquer it, have tried to literally wipe us out, like literally wipe out our culture, our people, whether it was through cancer, whether it was through, abortion or, birth control, or even just taking millions of us, right? I mean, let's not forget the Great Migration, millions of us, and transporting us to the mainland, which is the United States, just so that they could inhabit the land and make it some type of huge industrial platform for them, just to make money off it, to strip us of our gold, to strip us of our natural resources. So when I saw that, no, we're not going to just lay down and allow you to do that. We never have, and we never will. And I think that's why our people are so strong, because it is in our blood. It's in our name.
That's right.
We are great lords. It is in our name. We are warriors.
We are warriors.
We're not gonna allow it.
I want to give a quick shout out to I'm sorry, Bree. I want to give a quick shout out based off what you were saying right there. We warriors. I want to give a quick shout out to, the hundreds of thousands of warriors and soldiers from Boricua, right, that have fought in the wars down from World War One, and that go unmentioned, that played pivotal roles and have fought pivotal wars, right? That we don't talk about too much, and we've always had that warrior spirit, right? Can't take that from us; it's in our blood,
Absolutely.
And
Well,
that's
I mean,
something.
let's talk about it, right? That's one of the reasons why they gave us natural citizenship to America so that we could fight in their wars.
That's
That's
right.
one of the reasons why they gave us the birth certificate and we are considered American citizens because they wanted our men to fight in the war.
That's
Like,
it.
let's not forget the history of that.
Of
Where
course.
it came to, they literally just used our people and they continue to. I mean, we've
Yes,
donated and we've created so much for this country, the United States or this corporation, and we still get shitted on.
that's very
We
true.
Absolutely.
still.
And do you guys know Queen V, Bree, uh, Queen V? Do you know anything about uh, Dusty Rhodes, Doctor Dusty Rhodes,
Cornelius.
Cornelius Dusty?
I'm
Nick?
familiar with the name. I'll be honest, I don't know much about the history,
Uh,
but I'm familiar with the name, so I love to learn. So
he's we do have a video. I'm gonna present it here in a second, and
I was
when
upset
you
when I
see
did that video.
We did a build on this. Me and
Yeah.
Isabella, me and Dr. Poetry did a build on him.
Yeah.
when you see this guy, we
Dr.
got some
Rose.
visuals. When we got some visuals and stuff, but when you see this man, he looked dusty. You know what I
Like
mean?
his name.
He looked dusty.
Pun
But
intended.
it's sick. It's sick, right? That it's a wicked world, right? And it's sick that people would allow the extermination. That when you try and get rid of people like that, you must really be scared of
The
uh,
power that they
will,
hold.
the power that they hold, right? And it's really, the deeper you get into that, it's really sick because you know they they stripped away generations. We still here though, just like you hear the coqui in the back, like in the background. We still here. We still strong. We're gonna survive any weather. We're gonna survive any battle, any obstacle. You know, and it's really sick. It's crazy. And he's dusty. This dude dusty.
Mhm.
Well,
I'm
let's get to it. Let's bring up
let's
this Dr. Rose so that we can start letting people know. In case you don't know who Dr. Rose is,
You gonna
make
know
sure
now.
you pay attention to what I'm saying here. Let's go, Dev. You got him?
actually, yeah. I'm having a little problem bringing it up. I know I got hype. And
You got him.
Do you know who's Dr. Cornelius Packard Dusty Rhodes? Do you know? In the 1930s, a fact so vile, Dr. Cornelius Packard Dusty Rhodes, corrupted hands defiled, injected cancer cells, disparaging the Puerto Rican people, dividing no reconciled, funded by the Rockefeller Institute, carpetas, files, compiled, and Boricuas, their trust was misused and abused. Human rights violated, yet he was adored and acknowledged while the Puerto Rican human rights were refused. And all the hidden truth revealed in a letter handed over to Dr. Pedro Albizu Campos, revealing Dr. Dusty Rose's intention to exterminate the Boricua population, but Times Magazine recognizing him for his work in cancer research, calling it a legacy. While lives were killed and misused, do you know who's Dr. Cornelius Packard Dusty Rhodes? Cause he created horror scenes of hidden guys and hid behind a white coat with his fake ass dreams. Taking lives, no consent, keeping lethal secrets, injecting cells, cancer's hell. Puerto Rican souls fell, funded by those with old wealth, playing God with poor health, degrading the Boricua's way of living, knowing the truth of their hard work, their hard weight, their ways of being, yet he called them lazy, killing them silently, then openly admitting in a letter he wrote, not knowing Dr. Campos will end up reading it.
A hidden beast, Dr. Dusty Rose acknowledged. For cancer research with a funded feast, injecting lies beneath the skin while Puerto Ricans fought to be free. And Rockefeller, his money, the Rockefeller's money, causing grief. To think how many of us couldn't wait to see that fucking Rockefeller Christmas tree. You see, so many of us are unaware that our trust was betrayed in addition to this medical despair. Injecting cancer cells, pure evil scheme stripped away of his honor and an award thanks to Katz, a chemist at Yale University. See, it seems that Puerto Ricans were never given an apology. Only suffering, silencing our screams. In addition, women were also used as guinea pigs to the extreme. Human experimentation with birth control. Read the historical dark pages. There's plenty of documentations and confirmations of nightmares. While some still want to be part of this American dream, it's an American scheme so cold. I ask you, do you know who's Dr. Cornelius Packard Dusty Rhodes? Cause his lies were disguised with chemotherapy research and cancer cells. How the misery of my people continues to be exposed. Evil unfolds. We need to keep telling the truth. Cause they keep saying it was science and progress. Que cabron with his lies beyond hate. That motherfucker was bold, dark chapters, hidden wrath. But this is the truth we must continue to expose. Can you hear my ancestors protest? Can you hear their cries? I hear their screams, the chemical warfare test. This unconscionable, based on the cheap availability of human beings. Soldiers manipulated, exploited, and betrayed. Research the research. This doesn't only happen in the USA. Silent assassinations with human experimentations on the island of Puerto Rico. So ask your children. Ask your children, ask your friends, ask your neighbor. Do you know who's Dr. Cornelius Packard Dusty Rhodes? Do you know? Can you hear my ancestors protest? Can you hear their cries? Screams. The chemical warfare test. This is unconscionable. Yeah, he called it research. He called it progress. He called it science. I will never look at a Rockefeller Christmas tree ever again. Do you know who's Dr. Cornelius Packard Dusty Rhodes? Que viva Dr. Pedro Albizu Campos. I'm Dr. Poetry. That sound. You hear that? La chancleta. La correa no me recuerdo, I can't remember. Si la correa fue hecha de cuero. If the bell was made out of leather. I do remember la chancleta de mami. She learned that skill from abuela. At least that's what she used to say. Tu abuela. Alega el querellante. I mean, who was ever ready for mommy's remarkable aim? It was her weapon of choice and the price I had to pay. If I interrupted an adult conversation and challenged her thought beyond all measure, mommy came across my face waving her chancleta like a Puerto Rican flag during the Puerto Rican Day, because to her, la chancleta is a national treasure. And to me, it was a symbol of el cuco, la correa, la galleta, pero la chancleta meant she meant business. And I had to be taken care of, disciplined. Tough love was demonstrated when I was misbehaving without hesitation. My eyes met hers with fear and fury, all wrapped up in childhood chancletas. Cleared up all things I misunderstood quicker than a fast and a hurry. It was mommy, not abuela, who held the power in the chancletazo, that slipper that spelled out Puerto Rico, which took me to sandy beach memories of turquoise skies, blue waters where I needed to visit you in the awful beatdowns. With the chancleta de Puerto Rico name on it, I think that's when I denied my roots and wished for a second I wasn't Puerto Rican, because the bass in my tone was removed with a slap on my arm to remind me to slow my roll, watch my tone, and fix my face, and not misplace my anger, all while watching the chancletazos with cocotazos, slippers flying in the air. I hated the sound of the chanclas, for they had a language, they had rhythm, they had rhymes like the Bronx On the 4th of July, breakdancing on some cardboard boxes laid out on the pavement. And during the morning, they dragged to the kitchen while she made a sandwich and some fries. Those Saturday mornings, them chanclas danced while she mopped the living room floor for those holiday parties. They rushed to be taken off and replaced with her gold-type stilettos. And I felt rich. I would wear her chanclas and feel the power and play the game of chancletazo, threatening the rest of my friends and relatives. Who's next to feel the fury of the chancleta? I'm gonna get ya. The power of the chancla. Chancleta makes it cuco, la correa, la galleta look like a massage and origin spa in a junque rainforest. I needed the discipline from mommy, who learned from abuela the art of la chancleta, for it made me modest.
Oh my God.
Say something. Can I just say something?
Go right ahead.
So the chancleta in the video, I wish that was the chancleta that I got my ass beat. Because lo chancleta that we got back in the day was heavy.
Say that.
The real heavy one. Yep.
They had weight to it. So the Old Navy chancleta that was in that was, I wish that was it.
I
Right.
put the Puerto Rico one because that was heavy. That was like
Yeah.
cuero. The Puerto Rican one, that's why I say what I say. It had Puerto Rico spelled right on it. When she hit me with that chancleta, man, I was thinking about Puerto Rico. I really was. I was like, oh my God, it hurt.
I had a out-of-body experience.
I was like, I wanted to watch. I wanted to be in the ocean because I had to go there. Just like the
When you hear the sound, yeah, it brings a whole like chill to your body. It's like, oh shit.
Recently, we had my mom on, right, Def? On where do we have on Hear Me? Where do on Borinken? It was Borinken office. What Borinken? Boricua.
What in the Borinken?
What in the Borinken? Oh my God,
yeah.
this is great. Okay, what in the Borinken? So we had her on there, and Def asked mommy. So how have you ever had to use the chancleta? What did mommy say?
I said, mommy, how many times you had to use the chancleta on everybody? She said, oh, I lost count. I lost count. I can't even count. Yeah, like she done them things worn out, like. But no, but yeah, those soft ones, those plastic ones, yeah, that's the new age. I think it's just more the frightening factor. But yeah, we got hit with some heavy ones back in the day. But I know we saw the chancleta. I really like the imagery on that. I like what you were saying on that. It brings me back to some good old clase pelas. You know what I mean? Like, thank you.
We can't celebrate the Puerto Rican Day Parade without talking about the chancleta. I'm just saying.
Now we did see that video on that dude with his dusty ass jacket on. Right?
I didn't know the name, but I know the stories. And it's funny that you brought that video up because I actually have a family tie to that day. My grandmother's cousin, Felicia, was a victim.
Oh, look at that.
She was included. She had real bad epilepsy. She was really sick, so she couldn't travel, do anything by herself. So they had this experimental drug that they were doing in Puerto Rico, and a lot of people were coming and they signed their rights away for this research. And it ended up killing her, 26 years old. 26 years old, she died from this research that they did. And there was nothing the family could do because she signed her rights away to be allowed for the research because she was told it was for epilepsy, but it wasn't.
No. And the false pretenses is what they did, just like they did with the birth control. And the false pretenses. And they ended up, a lot of it just ended up being, they wanted to do mass genocide.
That's right.
Let's call it what it is, right? They couldn't do it with, the cancer research. Then they went and tried to attack us with, birth control.
There is a document.
Shout out to all the women that use birth control pills. You're fucking welcome.
So the root of all of this research and what happened in Puerto Rico was to help continue the white race, right? The white male race. It wasn't even the female. It was the white male race. it did equal into genocide. It did equal into a lot of people getting killed and a lot of experiments that were happening mostly on women
Yes.
in Puerto Rico. But a lot of people don't know in the medical field, like they don't even test women rats.
Right.
So when they
Well,
do animal testing, they only do the men. So for them to jump from animal testing to human trials and just go straight to the women means they had no forethought, no research, no background or anything to do this. They were just doing it to see what was going to happen. They had nothing on basis as far as what was going to happen to these women.
yeah, and
And
at some point, they wanted to get rid of all of the Puerto Ricans, all of the
Mhm.
Boricuas.
Mhm.
Well, he
And
Right.
wrote it. He wrote it in his letter. He thought
yeah,
we was he thought we were lazy. He called us animals. He called us barbaric. Like he
Mhm.
literally wrote a letter.
That letter exists.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
All
literally
that
wrote a letter.
all that is in Puerto right here, right on.
It's in the history in Puerto
yeah,
Rico, where
that's how
he
they
just
justify the experiment. That's how they justify it. Like, oh, these are less than human. That's how they justified slavery
exactly
because these are less than human. So in order for them to justify, they had to dehumanize.
When
right.
he was approached, he said it was a joke between him and his friend.
Yeah.
He denied it.
Hmm.
He said it was a joke. He didn't
Yeah.
even say, like
It's a
what
very,
the obvious, right?
that's an elaborate
Yeah.
joke. I don't
Yeah.
Yeah.
joke with that.
He's an idiot. That's why I
Considering.
said que cabrón. Yo,
Yeah.
Def, what were you gonna say? You were gonna say something.
no, well, I was speaking on just what you guys were touching on right there is, they were the document. They wanted to exterminate all the Boricuas, all the Puerto
Right.
Ricans.
Hmm.
You know,
Right.
and I was looking for the document. I was looking for the actual letter, but we could present that another time.
Right. Well, we showed a
And
clip of it in the video. Like that's what I showed in the
yeah,
video. You're gonna see clippings
yeah,
of all of
I
that.
was gonna.
That's actual
Mhm,
footage. Hmm.
I'm gonna see
yeah,
if I download the other two previous shows that we did. It's only audio,
Hmm.
Izzy, but we read that letter.
You're right. We did.
We read that
We
letter.
did.
And if it wasn't, I don't remember if it was the first one or last year's, but we actually read his letter.
It was last
And
year. Hmm.
just a vile fucking human being. He's not even
Yeah.
human. Like he had
He
no
said we were
soul.
dirty and all this stuff.
It was just
Um,
disgusting the way he spoke about these people, and yet, you
he's
know,
dusty as hell.
yeah, it just.
you
But
know what's interesting that he he didn't count on that letter getting Pedro Albizu in his
Elisa
hand.
Campo,
Yeah,
yeah,
Pedro Albizu Campos' hand. He didn't. He had no idea that was going to happen because what was going on is that first of all, a lot of people don't know this, but Pedro Albizu, he's a Harvard graduate. Okay,
yes,
he
he was
served in the
brilliant.
United States. Right, he actually helped the Irish Constitution to be. He's the one that
Yes,
created the Irish
He
Constitution. He
wrote
wrote
it,
created
the
the.
Constitution.
Yep.
Okay,
Hmm.
like a lot of
and
folks
he
don't
fought
understand
in the
this.
war.
And the war went to
Hmm.
war and everything, represented Puerto Rico, but the United States.
Right,
And he realizes when he was treated like a second class within the army, serving the army, because we all know why in 1917, we were given citizenship, right?
right,
Because it was easier for them to just bring us to war. Like, please, come on, we know that.
right,
But when he went there and he saw that, that's when he comes back and he wants to really go in with all the Boricuas and say, the United States is not caring a damn about us. They're not trying to help us at all. I just came from war. I see what's happening. We got to save Puerto Rico. You know, I used to sleep back in my college days with a picture of Pedro Albizu um, in my room on the thing because it's not so much the independent part about it because let's keep it real. Puerto Rico's been dependent for so many years that we don't know what it's like to be independent. So I'm not gonna even try to
yeah,
promote anything right here. I'm not
right.
going with that. I respect everyone's ideology. But what I'm saying is when I was back in college, I remember that feeling of saying, wow, this man died for the mission. He died breaking everything down for us. You know what I mean? Like he was actually put in jail and was pretty much killed. in
He was
jail.
tested on. They gave him
Radiation.
doses of
Right.
radiation. And he died a very hard, painful death.
He sure did.
He did. And I wanted to bring up, because you brought up the capetas, right?
Oh, capetas.
So what I found very interesting in researching that was the art of war, right? How do you conquer a nation? From within.
Right.
So they literally tried to get us against each other. And it worked for a long time. The FBI has
Psychological
mountains.
warfare. It's called psychological warfare. They do that all the
Mountains.
time. They're doing it now. They're trying to get I don't know if you got this new trend on TikTok for my brothers out there, my sisters out there. When I say this, the melanated community, how they every other day it's like blacks and Puerto Ricans against each other. They're trying to do this. It's called divide and conquer, the Willie Lynch theory. You know what I mean? You got better hair, tu tienes pelo malo. It's all meant for us to be divided because strength comes in numbers. And at the end of the day, we are all Moors, like I always say. So this is why I don't even identify myself when it comes to race as a crayon, as a color, because I think that we all different hues.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. If you think about it, what color could I be if look at this color, look at my color, and I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, the whole body has different colors. Like, you can't be one color. Color doesn't tie me to my land.
Yep.
My ethnicity does, right?
That's
and not even the nation, nationality. Where you from? I'm from Hispanic. Where's that at?
Right.
Where's that in the map?
I'm from
Show me
Latin.
Hispanic. Right, I'm from Latin.
Yeah.
And
no such thing.
Speaking on that, and the different, our different hues and us coming from different backgrounds. I'm gonna go into this next video. This is Izzy's Dr. Poetry right here, and este se llama Thank You Africa. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this for you guys.
Shout out to Africa. We can't celebrate Boricua without identifying
the motherland.
That's right. Thank you, Deb.
This is a tribute to Africa, to the Moors, everywhere. We are all Moors. A mí lo que me gusta es el ritmo de África. A mí lo que me gusta es el ritmo de África. A mí lo que me gusta es el ritmo de África. A mí lo que me gusta es el ritmo de África. I have a passion for the Afrobeats. As I recite my poetry on these stereo streets, the guitar, the drums, the sax, and all that resonates my sympathic gap. Afrobeats have me moving my hips uncontrollably. Ooh, I'm feeling these Afrobeats. No shade, but only admiration for Africa and all the Moorish nations. I'm a Moor. We are Moors. I'm simply embracing this intricate genre as I have always honored the motherland, Africa. Boriken, Quisqueya, and all of us that come from the land. That's right. A mí lo que me gusta es el ritmo de África. A mí lo que me gusta es el ritmo de África. A mí lo que me gusta es el ritmo de África. Iata ayoyo, iata. Iata ayoyo, iata. A mí lo que me gusta es el ritmo de África. A mí lo que me gusta es el ritmo de África. Ashe. We're always speaking about where we're really from. Well, we've been here, and all that know that the land is ours. We're from here, we're all Moors. But I want to take the time to say that I love Africa. A mí lo que me gusta es el ritmo de África. A mí lo que me gusta es el ritmo de África. Viva Boriken, viva Quisqueya, viva todos que están en la tierra. It's Dr. Poetry, and I love Afrobeats. A mí lo que me gusta es el ritmo de África. A mí lo que me gusta es el ritmo de África. A mí lo que me gusta es el ritmo de África. Iata ayoyo, iata. I'm Dr. Poetry. I love Africa.
Quisiera decirte tantas cosas, pero ya sé
que la vida es así.
Sé que no debo decir lo que dicta mi emoción. Siento que gustas de mí y no sé por cuál razón. Los celos me están matando. Quiero estar cerca de ti. Mi amor te está esperando. Yo te quiero hacer feliz.
Si pudiera decirte
Te quiero
solamente
hacer feliz.
una palabra,
Ay, ay, ay,
mía
ay.
serás.
Cuando tú me estás mirando, cuando el tiempo va pasando, y yo sin poderte hablar, y yo sin poderte hablar, y yo sin poderte hablar, y yo sin poderte hablar. Sé que no debo decir lo que dicta mi emoción. Siento que gustas de mí y no sé por cuál razón. Los celos me están matando. Quiero estar cerca de ti.
Quédate sentada
Y
donde
mi amor te
estás.
está esperando. Yo te quiero hacer feliz. Te quiero hacer feliz. Ay, 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 ay. Cuando tú me estás mirando.
Hasta el fin, como si nada, a tu lado, tu control. Podrá notar nuestras miradas. Usted me desespera. Ya no me puedo controlarme.
Y yo sin poderte hablar.
Daría
Y yo sin poderte hablar.
la vida entera
Y yo sin poderte hablar. Y yo sin poderte hablar.
por poder besarte,
Ay, 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 ay.
pero tan solo puedo mirarte.
Ay, yo no si no verte hablar.
Huepa.
Let me tell you, shout out to the floetic echoes. That is definitely a genre that I created in poetry. If you hear all these different things that we play and you hear the echoes, they're coming out of everywhere. That's me. I'm an Aquarius. I'll be like, ooh, I'll be having everything in my mind at the same time. I'll be like, Izzy, get busy, because sometimes I do believe that my ancestors really talk to me. I don't hit such high notes, so I got a little help with autotune. I'm okay with that. Let me tell you something. Have you ever been cooking and you don't use a measuring cup and you hear somebody say, just add a little bit more?
Right.
Oh, you know what? I got some onions. You know what? I know what I could put in there. And boom. Sometimes I think those are
Instinctual.
the ancestors, right? Isn't it? It's like they're there. Well, that happens when I write poetry. When I hear a beat, all of a sudden I get this little melody that comes in my mind that I'm like, well, what the hell is that? I don't even know how to
Yeah.
sing like that. But they be like, you could, dale, dale, tú puedes, tú puedes, tú puedes. And
Right.
I go in there. And so I love what I do. I love the poetry. Shout out to all of y'all. If you really truly enjoy it, it's not for everyone. Okay. But I like to kind of teach in my poetry, and so does Def. Def and the Hear Me Out Poetry crew, we try to bring awareness about all different types of stuff. Today we're celebrating the Boricuas, right? And a lot of our stuff is Spanish, right? You're gonna hear a lot of Spanish. We have all the Spanish poetry coming out tonight, right? This is what we do. Now, Def, Queen, B, Bree, what did you think about those two videos that we just presented in terms of the messages? Because it's a big shout out, by the way, Los Celos, to Willie Colon. Okay.
Yep.
Willie Colon, man, that's my favorite poet in the salsa world, because he was a poet. And he is a poet, still alive. When Def and I were talking about this piece, Def, you could agree. We were like, we got to do something different. We got to do something different. We got to, because it came out of nowhere. I was like, you know what? I don't even want to start the beginning of what he's saying in that song. Y yo sin poderte hablar. That's the real original, Quédate donde está. But when we were like, no, we gotta make it us because
Well,
I
yeah,
already
which
know how we are.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love the Willie Colon version. Shout out to Willie Colon.
Shout out to
And
Willie.
you know, we could have did more, uh, but
Mm-hmm.
that was perfect, right? Like,
Yeah.
uh,
The art
I'm
was
gonna say
good.
you killed it. I'm gonna say you killed it. And
Oh, cut it out.
for me personally,
Cut it out. Yeah, I know.
like I enjoy creating that, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I enjoy creating. I love creating, in general. And that
Yeah.
was a real special piece right there. I wanted to continue to do more pieces like that. Just really give flowers to the innovators
Right.
in our culture,
The
right? That
pioneers. That's right.
pioneers.
Absolutely.
You it's not that we taking, but only complimenting
Mm-hmm.
and bringing that back. To and making it relevant to the younger generations.
Absolutely.
Um, but that was a fun piece. I mean, I loved it. Yo ni canto ni en la lucha. So I don't even sing in the shower.
La
So for me to
ducha.
sing in there, like, I just started singing even more. You know what I'm saying? I might just come out with a.
That's got the
We have
best
fun,
acoustics too in the bathroom.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And the
Right.
coquille gives you back up, so don't even play.
Facts. You got the backups.
You'll be like,
Facts.
Yeah, for real.
listen, but how about Africa? Come on. Have you been to Loiza? When you
Right.
listen to me, viewers, when you're in Boriken, make sure don't get no alcapuria from nowhere else. Go to Loiza. All right. Bomba plena, and
Mm-hmm.
definitely lots of beautiful, beautiful people out there. I'm telling you, it is a dope, dope. I mean, Boriken is dope, period. But
Yeah.
you can't go nowhere without getting a nice little alcapuria and listening to some bomba plena out in Loiza. You know, Africa, I was inspired because, as you know, I'm a police officer and I walk around and when I see los colores de mi tierra, when I see my people, I just feel like, we so beautiful. We come from different shapes and sizes and hues. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, but you know what? We got to give a tribute to Africa as well. Because I see a lot of people that be like, no, there's no black people. Because it happens. There's some Boricuas that be like, no, ain't nobody black in my family. And I'm going to give you the poem from back in the day. ¿Y tu abuela dónde está?
Right. Right.
¿Y tu abuela dónde está? Where's your grandmother at? Because, that's another poem that we
Yeah.
actually did before many moons ago on the shows. We talked about that, how the colorism still exists. We may not be
Mm-hmm.
black, but it's color. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. I don't even know how to explain it, but have you ever felt that from your own body before? Have you ever
Oh
felt that?
yeah.
Yeah? Talk to us.
Absolutely. I can attest to that. My cousin, I tell these stories all the time because, my father's half black, half Puerto Rican. My mother's Puerto Rican. So I've always been Puerto Rican. When people
Mm-hmm.
ask me who I am, Boricua, that's who I am, Puerto Rican. And the concept of, like you said, the colors didn't come up till I was a teenager. That there was these separations that you
Mm-hmm.
had to learn, that you had to quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote understand in society. But when I look back in my childhood, there was a little bit of, I don't want to say racism, but bigotry
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because I was darker.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't the pretty one in the family. I was,
What?
more kinky hair. I was, things like that. So I had one of my mom's girlfriends told her in Spanish one day, thinking, I mean, I don't know how dumb can you be, but I'm her daughter. She's Puerto Rican. If she
Right.
speaks Spanish, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna understand Spanish. She
Right.
told her in Spanish when she had my little sister. My little sister's, looks like Bree, and oh, you finally had a pretty daughter.
Wow.
I hope your mother gave her the chocolatazo, but the beam bam boom boom boom. My mother would have made her finish eating out of a straw.
Well, anybody who knows my mother,
Right?
she wasn't having that. But
Exactly.
it's just growing up with those colorisms, and then
Yeah.
my aunt would always tell me the story about how when I was a little girl, she bought me a black doll,
Hmm.
and how my grandfather told her to get rid of the black doll. That nobody's going to be seeing me as black; they're going to see me as Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
And in
That's.
and in and in his mind, it was a cultural thing. It's a pride thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But growing up for me, it was like, but that's what the world's going to see me as.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
when I walk through the room, nobody says, "Oh, there goes that Borinquen, that Puerto Rican girl." They that's a black woman until I tell them who I am and explain. And then on the flip side, I have black people that, "Oh, you're black." I'm like, "No, I'm Puerto Rican," and they kind of get standoffish with me. It's like, "Oh, I'm not black enough." So I always tell
Right.
people I've never been Puerto Rican enough for the Puerto Ricans, never been black enough for the blacks. So it's always,
A
the
sense of identity, like you
identity
try to
crisis.
figure it out.
I was always trying to figure it out, like where do I fit in? And when I did my ancestry,
You are more.
well, yeah, but when I did my ancestry, I'm like, I'm freaking from everywhere. If you look at your ancestry,
We basically all are. Humans are from all over.
yep,
That's why it makes no sense. I mean, we celebrating the
yep,
culture, but even Puerto Rico is not a race.
yep,
Right.
First of all, Puerto Rico is a misnomer. I
Right.
say that all the time. Boricua, no. Puerto Rico, yes.
Yeah.
And okay, and no shade to the black community because I don't even want to say black community because I'm actually participating by saying that.
yep,
But it doesn't. There's no place called. It's a culture, right? But it's like when we talk about that, it's not your nationality. Like people confuse that.
yeah,
It's a political status.
That
yep,
falls
Right.
under that.
It's
It
a
falls into the
classification.
divide. It falls
It's a
into the divide.
classification.
Yeah,
But
they
why were
yeah,
classifications created? To divide. My point
right.
Right.
precisely.
So that goes into the divide part. Like
The division.
as far as race, we a human race. We
yep,
human.
And I
We
don't
all.
even like to say that because the race makes us compete regardless. Think about
That's
why
why I
race
say.
is on it.
That's why I say we human. We not. We not.
No human race. Like I don't even like to put race behind human is what I'm saying, Def. Because when we
That's
put
cool.
race
I'm
behind human,
eliminating. I'm
yeah,
eliminating the. I'm eliminating the separation of races by saying that. So I understand what you're saying.
right,
And I'm eliminating the division of the
right,
term. Using race for a division.
right. Because
So
that's why they call it the human race. Because
yeah,
humans are gonna be competing. What is a race? You're trying to get we're competing, and I never understood that. I was like, I'm a human being. I'm a
Right.
being. There's a being within me,
yep,
but I'm not a race.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And when I say, and I didn't even think about that. I thought about that the other day. I'm like, I'm not even the human race. Like, what? We're all competing. So
Mhm.
what is this about? It's a little tricky because as we get older, we get stuck in our ways. And I'm
Right.
not trying to say anything to anyone. I know where I'm at, like where I'm trying to grow and I'm trying to figure things out. Because trust me, it's crazy to me. I didn't even realize how much I was saying, Puerto Rico, yo te quiero, and I'm singing all that Puerto Rico, right? But I'm like, wait a minute, that ain't even right. We should be saying Borinque.
yeah,
mhm.
Mhm.
And I know it sounds weird to some folks to be like, "Qué pendeja, que hablando que Puerto Rico es la misma mierda." No, it's not.
No, it's
It's
not.
not, man.
That's
why
not.
does she just sound
It's
like Pipi
not.
Jewish?
But
Right.
la misma
No, I
mierda.
agree.
Yeah,
No, it sucks, man.
Yeah.
But
But
that's
it's
why
done for a
we are
reason.
here. That's why we're here because we
Right.
bringing this knowledge to everybody. And I love the fact that Queen V and Def Poetry and Bree Talks and myself, we're here sharing, enjoying. We're breaking down certain things that you guys already probably know, but this is a refresh. Refresh.
Right.
If
This
you don't
this.
know, we're
Mhm.
learning it now.
That's right. This next one right here, I'm gonna go into y'all. It's by I did this one. It's called Solo Nombre.
I
Yes.
like this one.
Yes. Thank you
I
for
like
saying
this
that.
one.
Forgot
I'm
about
gonna
that.
go ahead and rock this one, and then I'm gonna go straight into a little promo.
Okay.
We're gonna do a promo. I got a promo video for
Got to pay
a
the
little
bills for the sponsors.
store out here in Sidra in Puerto Rico, right?
Right.
They're it's a one-stop shop basically for like old retro things, toys, clothes,
Souvenirs.
souvenirs. The family here, the gentleman and his wife, they run the shop, and they're really good people. And I'd like to give him a shout out too. We
Show
stop
what you
over
got there. The
yeah,
pava.
we stopped over there. We got some gear.
Show them, show
We
them, show them. You gotta show them. This is hello. Look at that. That's a coqui. Look at you got the coqui, the taino coqui.
Ah.
You got the taino sun. If you don't get
He's
lost
all
in there,
modeling.
right? He's like You stupid.
Doing gang signs.
So yeah, de poco un todo, right? That's what they
De
call it.
todo un poco.
Oh, okay, right. De
Todo
todo
un poco.
de todo un
Oh
poco,
my
right?
God.
So
No que toco cotazos.
I'm gonna go right into this one, and then I'm gonna go into the promo, y'all. So
All right, let's go.
Dale.
Ahora sí, vamos para encima. Oye, voy a empezar diciéndote que soy solo un tipo. Yo no soy nadie grande, pero le doy gracias a Dios todos los días por darme la oportunidad de abrir los ojos y nacer de nuevo cada día. Y hablando claro, mi mente está tan cabrona que a veces tengo que meterle un freno a la cosa para que no se me pongan demasiado intensas. Yo creo que ahora trato de disfrutar más el momento porque mañana no me lo prometen. No piense que esto es de tristeza ni nada, simplemente te estoy hablando de la forma que es. Esto es un pedazo de lo que pienso, es como lo que me sale del alma. Déjame ser malinterpretado. Tírame lo que quieras, pégame, suéltalo. Si lo que hago no habla por mí, entonces no me creas. Y en verdad, en estos años de vida soy más consciente de los pasos que doy, de lo que sale de mi boca. A veces todavía maldigo, pero no como antes. Ya pasé por esa etapa de limpiar mi boca, mi vida. Ahora la tengo limpia y la uso para decir mi verdad. Que es solo la verdad de un tipo y mi verdad cambia porque todos los días aprendo algo nuevo. Gracias a Dios por eso. Yo no soy un santo, pero tampoco soy un Judas. Yo elijo el amor, pero el mundo quiere que uno se convierta en una bestia. ¿No lo saben? Hasta los animales saben que no somos iguales. Yo no cargo esa mala costumbre, yo cargo con lo divino. No me hagas repetir eso 7 veces, después déjalo caer.
Just to put it in different words, just so you know.
Es solo un pedazo de mí. Ya a esta altura, ¿quién carajo se preocupa por mí si no soy yo mismo? Estoy soldando amor a lo que valen la pena y eso no va a parar. Es egoísta pensar y qué hay de mí. Siempre he estado bien y eso es una elección mía. Yo sé que mi historia me trajo hasta aquí y me permitió ser la mejor versión de mí mismo. No me quites eso. Yo no te lo quitaría a ti. Puñeta, me da duro ser tan real y aún así me tratan como si no fuera confiable. ¿Qué carajo? ¿Hasta cuándo tengo que esperar antes de decir que se joda? Yo no soy un patrón común y que se joda lo que piensen de mis patrones. Yo soy responsable de lo que hago. You heard?
Los colores de mi tierra son los colores donde la brisa se mezcla. Tierra de Boriken, con el sonido del mar, donde nace la danza que mueve nuestro es un jardín florido, ya vengo yo, de mágico primo, ya vengo yo, un cielo siempre nítido, recibe de doce, y dan arrullos plácidos, las olas a sus pies, cuando a sus playas llegó color, exclamó lleno de admiración. Soy como el morrillo. Ya vengo, cual linda flor de los campos que embellece mi país. Ya vengo yo, y si me ves por ahí, yo te brindaré mi encanto. Ya vengo yo, y si me ves por ahí, yo te brindaré mi encanto. Soy como el morrillo que muere y nace de nuevo. Típico como el coquí, como la yuca, la caña y el maíz.
Soy Ibarito, con mi machete amolao, de decir a su caballo montado. Somos boricuas representando en todos lados. Llegaste a la cena, arroz con bacalao. Los colores de mi tierra,
los colores de mi tierra,
son los colores,
son los colores.
the colors of my island, the colors of my flag, the colors of my land. Coconut brown, blue green water,
Coqui,
turquoise waves, spiritual coquille,
coqui,
green plantains with the yuca, green shades,
Qué bonita
Tight bone by
bandera.
Glenna reminds us we are all blessed. We are all
Qué
free.
bonita
I
bandera.
hold my head up high. The colors of my land are deep within me.
Qué bonita
Land of
bandera.
happy
La
people.
bandera
People who are prosperous.
puertorriqueña.
Plantando bandera. My roots are very strong. No one can uproot them. I know who I am and where I come from. That's why I'm back in the land. The warrior red, the white for peace, the blue for our skies, the star representing the island. Don't forget the blue is for our ocean too. Los colores de mi tierra son los colores. Con mi frente en alto. Voy cantando con la bandera en la mano. Dios, patria y libertad. Es rojo, guerrero, azul por el mar y el cielo. La estrella.
Escapando de tu amor. Dr. Poetry. Te miro, siento el viento, tu risa me hace temblar. Pero hay un fuego en mi pecho que no puedo ignorar. Eres un sueño, un susurro. Y la vida la veo toda en tu mirada. Pero el tiempo me recuerda que mi alma es una balada. Escapando tu amor, aunque me quieras atrapar, no puedo seguir este juego. Mi corazón no puede volar, eres un río en la vida y yo una roca, como quieras decirlo. Sigo siendo la sirena en el mar. Te alejo con cada latido, aunque me quieras amar, me quieras amar. Escapando de tu amor, aunque me quieras atrapar, no puedo seguir este juego. Y mi corazón no puede volar, porque eres un río en la vida y yo una roca en el mar. Te alejo con cada latido, aunque me quieras amar. Te alejo con cada latido, aunque me quieras amar, quieres amar. Tus palabras son dulces como un canto al despertar, pero las sombras de mis años me hacen dudar y parar. Tienes la fuerza de un sol, la frescura de la primavera, pero el peso de mis decisiones, me mantiene en esta espera. Te miro y siento el viento, tu risa me hace temblar, pero hay un fuego en mi pecho que no puede ignorar. Eres un sueño, un susurro. La vida la veo en tu mirada, pero el tiempo me recuerda que mi alma es una balada. Escapando de tu amor es lo que estoy haciendo. Escapando de tu mirada, escapando de tu risa, porque sabes que tú me haces temblar. Pero hay un fuego en mi pecho que no puedo ignorar. Eres un sueño, un susurro. La vida en tu mirada, yo veo.
There's something about this beat that keeps reminding me of my New York City dreams. I remember I was only 17, literally a dancing queen. Forever young, I thought I'll be. I remember living rent free obsessively. I remember someone had never pretending to be. I remember someone I not that I choose to see. I remember I want my loving energy.
Yeah. Dead in the middle of the boogie, we was younger playing hooky like Bonnie and Clyde, they better book me. Those were the days, all fun and games, skipping the fair, catching the train the way it took me.
How I remember.
Step through the city in these Harlem nights, all the lights had me feeling like my game tight like Ray Rice with the Scarlet Knights. I used to roll the dice, gamble with my life with so many things I never thought twice.
I remember
Tony Oz used to get mad from the block parties and the riff-raff, leaving all the trash in the gift bag, drop it off, leave it on the stoop while we ran off and laughed in cahoots. All fun and games till the gig is over, bumping Criminal Minds till the bridge is over. I remember the battle ciphers gathered in Crotona. In Africa, Bambada really showed us how to master the track. Not only that, but how to master your path. I could never break dance, but I mastered my craft. Getting my hands on paid and food was a classic to have. And the rhyme goes on, I perfected the jab, blending some jazz with some boogaloo. From one into another on the tables, yelling copy go. Remember, like it's out the blue, deja vu. This ain't a dream if it happened to you.
There's something about this beat that keeps reminding me of my New York City dreams. I was only 17, little young dancing queen, forever young. I thought I'd be forever young. I remember it's the boogie down breeze, chasing after my favorite Mr. Softy ice cream. I remember barbecues. Oh, how I remember. Orchard Beach. Yeah, I remember. Something about this beat. I remember those block parties. Hip hop playing from the DJ speakers. Reminding about this beat that keeps reminding me. City dreams. There's something about this beat that keeps reminding me. I remember. Boogie down breeze. Oh, how I remember. New York, summer dreams in New York City.
I remember.
That's every time I forget. Every time I have a fog, I'll be like, oh, I remember. I'll be telling Def, what's my keys? Oh, I remember.
For real. She's like, oh, I forgot to play that one. I forgot. I said, no, don't worry. I remember. I thought I just thought, I remember.
I was just telling Granny Wowzers that on Poetic Clinic. I was like, listen, if you got dementia and everybody's going through all these things that everybody's going through, just remember, play the song.
No,
but
so,
listen, shout out to that store. Shout out to that nice little cute store, De Todo Un Poco. Shout out to them. You're wearing the apparel. That's very nice. I love it. If you're ever in Boriken, stop in Sidra. De Todo Un Poco. They have beautiful, it's very cute. It's very homey. If you look out the outside, it has all those nice little colors. And then when you go in, it's like nostalgic because you're like, oh shit, I remember grandma had that spoon. Or I remember we had that olla, you know, and then you have, you know, the little handles and stuff. So I just love it. It's so cute. That was good. I love that.
It reminded me I had to get a new tostonero because mine's broke.
Right?
Me too. Me too.
You already know.
Shit, I need one of those.
When you guys are in Puerto Rico, you already know. And a big shout out to Solo Un Hombre. I just want to touch on that. That was so dope what you did there, Def. What I love about it is that it's a real conversation. It's a real conversation that you're having in Spanish. Even though he says like two things in English, he's like, "You heard?" It's like,
I wanted to mess him up with that. Yeah.
I like that's a conversation a man is having, and I'm not gonna talk about it. Why don't you talk about it? Tell us what you're saying.
I mean, y'all understand Spanish, right?
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's not a justification, but it's just a perspective, right? And you know, it's the things, it's the simplicity of, you know, simplicity of some things and being grateful, you know, for some of that simplicity, being able to wake up, you know, have another opportunity to be your best self, you know, and, you know, giving my reason for, you know, why I do, you know, the things I do or think the way that I think and you know, and just saying that as strong-willed and as much of a warrior that I am, I'm not throwing it in anyone's face. I'm just a man. In the simplest form, I'm just a man. You know, so I'm not downplaying it. I'm not downplaying myself, but I'm also not saying I'm no different. I put my pants on the same way everybody else put their pants on. You know, unless you lay down and put your pants on, you know, then we're not the same, you know, but
unless you got skinny jeans.
Yeah, right. You know, size is different, right? Size is different, yeah, right? But that's a good point. But you know, my point is I'm no different than anybody else, you know, in that sense. And you know, and I'm strong on, on what I think and what I know. But my uniqueness and my, you know, the way I could critically think for myself makes me me. You know, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell without going over every word that I
Of
said.
course, no. No, I
You know?
got that. Yeah. We don't expect you to do all that, but that's definitely where you at. Where you at with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was dope. Guys, it's almost about that time. We gotta wrap this up. I want to be here all day and just be listening to music. I feel like I'm in the
Well,
Telemundo.
we gotta get to the rest of the parade because it's still early right now, y'all.
Trying to
So
tell you.
we gotta make it to the rest of the parade, y'all.
I'm just saying. I don't want to miss the flows and the Goya flow. You know that Goya flow. They just have everything.
Legendary. They always
And I
coming up.
know Bad Bunny. I'm wondering if Bad Bunny's gonna be there.
I just want a piragua, yo. That's it. I
Oh,
don't
I want
care
a
about.
coquito.
Ooh,
Remember the
Yeah,
coquitos though? The little
yeah.
coquitos.
I just want a piragua, yo.
and the pinches. Don't
Really?
forget the pinches with the piece of
The
bread on it.
pinchos.
Oh, the pinchos. Yeah, she's talking about the pinchos. I love pinchos. What's your favorite, chicken or pork? Because I like the
Yeah,
chicken ones are good with the
I
pork.
like the
Look,
pork one
I
with the
like the
Exactly.
pork
barbecue
one
sauce.
too.
I could share a lot of things in this world, right? But one thing I won't share with nobody is the little pan, the little bread at the end of the pincho. All right. I'll share anything
The
with you,
bottom,
but
right?
I'll share
Fact.
anything with you, but you're not getting that bread, yo.
That's that. Right.
You're not
That's
getting
where
no
the
part of
That-
it.
settle.
You're not getting no part of it. That's a single serve.
No one's getting my alcapurria though, because I
Oh,
love
those are my
alcapurrias.
favorite.
Yeah, I love
Those are my favorite.
alcapurrias. What's your favorite, alcapurria or bacalaíto?
Oh,
Ooh.
Mm-mm.
I like
I
the
mean, I could take that.
Why choose?
yeah.
Why choose?
Because then you gotta
Right, well,
throw in the relleno de
All right,
papa.
which one you
You
eating
gotta throw
first?
that in
Which
there.
one you eating first? There's a plate. There's a bacalaíto and there's an alcapurria. Which one you're eating first?
I'm gonna
I'm gonna
open
take
the
a bite. I'm gonna
acapulco
take a
in
bite of
half,
each.
right?
I'm gonna take a
And
bite
then
of
I'm
each
gonna have
dish.
We go at the same time.
The
and like
same
that.
time like that.
No, that sounds like something to cook, right? Bacalaíto
Right.
with
Girl.
alcapurria. Que arroz con gandules que hay ahí. All
Ooh.
right, Def, are we ready, y'all? I appreciate
Hey,
y'all for coming because we got it ready to go.
yes.
But any final thoughts, Def? This has been dope.
Yes,
I loved it.
Bree, we appreciate you coming back out this year,
We really
and
do.
celebrating the Puerto Rican parade with us. Queen V, it's a pleasure. You're always welcome on board with us.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
having me. Thank you for
You
having
know,
me.
you guys are family. You guys are family, and it's always a good time. Big shout out to Bree Talks, and you know her unveiling. She has a show also called Unveiling,
That's
and
right.
she has some other things brewing up. I'm sorry, I'm always blending in. I got the colors on.
He's trying to go inside of
I've been
Taino.
blending
It's
in
all
all night.
psychedelic back there. I'm
He's
like,
gonna
Yeah,
become
whoa.
so
he's gonna
big shout
become the
out.
Taino in a minute.
I'm like,
Big
what
shout
is
out,
that?
big shout out to Elevated Bliss. You know, he has the
Triple
Alliance
say.
Foods Network and his morning show as well. And also Trip Duce.
That's
Big shout
right.
out to the whole Alliance Network. Check us out, y'all. Um, Also, Poetic Clinic, they just had their season
Last
finale. They should be um, you know, they should be coming up with more material soon in the
that's
works.
right.
And also, we finished Hear Me Out Poetry season 2 uh, this past week. So stay tuned for this fall coming up for season 3.
Right.
We still have Floetic Video Box on Fridays. We also have What in the Boriken is going on. Hello, we here. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
And we also got Floetic Justice. And tune in also for Granny Wowzer. She will be having
Coming
a show
soon.
coming soon called Snaps Out, y'all. And you know where I'm at. I'm always around, blending in here. You know what I mean? So once again, it's been a pleasure. It's been a blessing. Always here spending time with y'all ladies. I got some acapulcas to eat.
Ooh, I don't like you no more.
I gotta go get me a lean bay, you know.
Oh wait, I gotta put on this
And
hat real
and
quick.
I got one more thing too before we
Shout
get
out
up
to the
out of
hat.
here, y'all.
Niñitos de mi corazón, ha llegado el momento de decirles muy buenas noches y hasta mañana, mis chiquilines que duerman bien. Este pichicho se va a hacer no y ustedes también. Muy buenas noches, hasta mañana, hasta mañana. Este perrito se va a la cucha y los niños a la cama. Ya. Que duerman bien.